So you wanna be the king of games, but your matches all end the same. I've got just what you need. Feel free to SMD. Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back with another episode of SMD, the quick and dirty way for filthy netdeckers to no-skill their way to the top of the Master Duel ladder. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not too sure I want you all knowing how to play this one. Presenting Floowandereeze. But first, this video is sponsored by Factor.
Oh no, Alex. Don't you normal summon that Mermello.
Joseph, you gotta get up!
Why?
You're playing SEMO today!
There's no time! Normal Mermello, normal Dionea. Play around Full House, play around Ignition.
What are you gonna do if he summons Hands?
Dark Hole and Empty Board.
What are you gonna do if he summons Thunder King?
Cry. Alright, I'm ready for hat format. Now I just have to eat.
If you're at the beck and call of an unreasonable boss like I am, oftentimes you don't have time to prepare a nutritious and tasty meal for yourself. Well, I have good news. There's finally a better alternative to eating an entire bag of chips for dinner. Don't judge me. Introducing Factor, a food delivery service that sends fresh, ready-made meals to your doorstep. These aren't kid cuisine, they're chef-prepared meals cooked in bulk and portioned, ready to be reheated in minutes. Factor offers meals for those looking to follow keto, low-calorie, or vegan and vegetarian lifestyles. Each meal is dietitian approved, and you can choose between over 27 meal options weekly. These have been a godsend for me and Jillian. Often we get buried in work and don't have time to cook, and we're always happy to eat healthy and save money. I've had 6 or 7 of these by now, and I'm always impressed how just a couple of minutes of reheating can turn a bad day from a skipped lunch into a productive afternoon fueled by a delicious meal. Use my link or go to gofactor75.com and use code POGMBT120 for $120 off across 5 boxes. And we're back. Now, for those among my viewers that actually play the game, Flu shouldn't be news to you. Most likely, you've been cursing Robina's name and trying to destroy all copies of Shifter on Earth, Kaiba style, for a while now. But for the newbies, welcome to hell. Floowandereeze is an archetype that consists of little birds that on normal summon, perform an action, and let you immediately normal again. They also banish themselves if they leave the field, and can add themselves back to the hand whenever you normal summon a winged beast. Now, if all that sounded just a little too exciting for you, well boy do I have great news! This is all in service of a setup that ends on Floowandereeze and M-Pen, which negates the effects of attack position monsters, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, which prevents special summons, and Mega Ryza, which Yada locks. The end result is a consistent and nearly unbeatable stun deck that's sure to plague every rung of the Master Duel ladder. Now you may be wondering just why this deck is so powerful. In the TCG, for instance, the Floowandereeze totally failed following their first wave of support. It wasn't until the release of Advent of Adventure that they were anything resembling a top-tier strategy. Well, a couple of Master Duel's specific quirks boost these birds so far from the bottom of the barrel that they become the Emperor Penguins. Firstly, since the ladder metagame is so wide, players tend to gravitate toward generically powerful hand traps like Maxi and Nibiru instead of targeted ones like Artifact Lancia. That's great news for an archetype like this that has an innate immunity to the former. Next, the deck's major weaknesses, going second, are massively mitigated by the monstrous amount of end-of-the-turn cards available in Master Duel. Maxi and Shifter haven't been legal together very often. And finally, Vanity's Emptiness is legal, and this deck doesn't send any cards to the graveyard performing their linear play. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up are Little Birds. 3 copies of Robina. On normal summon, this adds a level 4 or lower winged beast from your deck to your hand. If you have Eaglin, then you're probably getting Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. Otherwise, you're adding this card, Floowandereeze and Eaglin, which, if normal summoned, allows you to add a level 7 or higher winged beast from your deck to your hand. Your targets for this are the Apex Avion, which is generically very good, the Rise of the Mega Monarch, which closes out games, and 2 Floowandereeze and M-Pen. Frequently, you get into scenarios where you need them both. After that are our one-of birds. We've got a Stree, which allows you to banish a card from the graveyard, helpful both to prevent your opponent's cards like DPE from returning, but also to set up the banish zone for our next card, Floowandereeze and Toucan. This card allows you to target a banished Floowandereeze card you control, add it to your hand, and then get your extra normal. Now notice I did not say monster there. That means that you can use something like Floowandereeze and the Magnificent Map to banish a copy of Floowandereeze in the Unexplored Winds and add it back. That's a very important play in the mirror. After that are our hand traps, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom, our 1 Stormwinds of course, and 3 Dimension Shifter. For a lot of decks, this card just reads end the turn. After that are our 7s. We're playing that Apex Avion because there's a lot of trap decks on Master Duel, and this is a card that those decks have a little bit of a problem with. Rise of the Mega Monarch is not nearly as powerful as he seems. Sure, he's a Yatagarasu, but he's only really good when you've completely taken over the game. And finally, bringing up the rear, 2 Floowandereeze and M-Pen. More important than its Floodgate effect is the fact that it searches a Floowandereeze spell trap. Usually you're getting the Dreaming Town, which allows you to perform an extra normal on your opponent's turn when you activate it, and book their entire field when you summon a big boy, but you can also get Floowandereeze in the Unexplored Winds, very good in the Mirror, and Floowandereeze in the Mysterious Map. This is the card that pushes this deck into unfair territory. During your main phase, you can reveal a level 1 Floowandereeze from your hand, banish a Floowandereeze card, including the spell traps if you want to get Toucan going, with a different name, and then normal summon the revealed monster. This will trigger the banished effect of the Floowandereeze monster you banished, so it's effectively a hop, skip, and a jump to Stratos with chain blocking attached. What's more, it gives you an extra normal so you can commit your normal to something else. This card is so powerful, we are playing the Terraforming of course, but we're also playing Triple Duality and Triple Pot of Prosperity to try and find our cards as much as we can. Finally, we're on 3 Book of Moon. This is a very strange inclusion, but I like it a lot. It trades going second for one of your opponent's negates. If they go for something like a Barone, then that's absolutely fine. And if you're going first, it trades for an Effect Veiler and an Infinite Impermanence, which are cards that really give this deck pause. You have to resolve the effect of your monster if you actually want that extra normal. After that, we're on 2 Called by the Grave and 1 Vanities. Sorry, everyone. I'll be honest with you, the extra is absolute trash. There's absolutely nothing in here that you need. You will never go into it because all of the Floowandereeze have a stipulation that if you activate their effects, you cannot special summon for the remainder of the turn. That said, there are scenarios when, over the course of your opponent's turn, you are left with 2 material on board, which can turn into a Lyrilisc Assembled Nightingale, a Downward Magician, and a Zeus. If you craft nothing else, these are the 3 you actually want. So with that, let's check out a game. Our match is up against Sword Soul Tenyi. Oh, didn't you get the memo? We're beyond this deck now. Our opponent's going first, which is not fantastic news for us, and we've opened pretty poorly. A copy of Toucan is not the bird we want to be beginning with. However, we do have the map. They have opened much worse than us. They're going to begin with a copy of Longwan, summon a token, and then send those to the graveyard in order to make themselves a copy of Baron de Fleur. Now, a single negate does seem to be the end of the turn for a Floowandereeze player, but we can probably fish that bad boy out. We'll draw for turn. I expect to have to Book of Moon this Baron until I draw the map. I think maybe I can get the negation off here, and I am right. They shotgun the Baron on Magnificent Map. This will happen less often as people get more comfortable playing against Floowandereeze, allowing us to activate a second copy and then activate the effect that we have not yet activated. We'll go for it, revealing the Toucan in our hand in order to banish from our deck a copy of Robina. We'll normal summon the Toucan and activate the effect targeting the Robina, to which our opponent will chain Forbidden Chalice, a targeted piece of effect negation that is unfortunately for our opponent foiled by Book of Moon. We're going to use Book of Moon to tuck that Toucan face down, then go for the Robina and normal summon it as well. We'll trigger the effect of the Robina to add a level 4 or lower winged beast monster from our deck to our hand, and then continue the normal chain, at which point our opponent is going to Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is the absolute be-all end-all for this deck, but doesn't matter here because we used our extra normal off the map for this long chain. That means we can use our normal to go for the M-Pen. While the Toucan is going to go to the graveyard because it wasn't face up when it was sent there, the Robina won't, and as a result can be activated as Chain Link 2, chain blocking this M-Pen and giving us follow-up for next turn. From deck to hand, we are going to go ahead and grab ourselves a copy of the Unexplored Winds. Then we'll go to the battle phase and activate M-Pen's effect in order to decrease the attack of the Baron we're attacking by banishing this Apex Avion that was clogging our grip. We're going to set the Unexplored Winds and pass back to our opponent, who normal summons a Taya. Very, very good, but unfortunately also triggers the effect of our map. This gives us a normal with which we can get a Robina into Eaglin, and from this position, it's our turn, comrades. We'll go for a Ryza and begin the Yata locking. Ryza has to bounce a card from the field, a card from the graveyard, and if you've tributed a wind monster, it can go for an additional card on the field back to hand. We'll target the Ryza to put back to hand so we can do it again next turn while we stack the worst cards in our opponent's deck on top. We're not going to let them activate that Taya, so that's going, but we're in a weird position now where we've activated the normal summon effect of both of the monsters in our hand. If our opponent has an extender, we're cooked. But they don't. So as a result, we're going to draw for turn and clean this one up. At 6,800, this shouldn't be too difficult. We're going to activate the map here, revealing the Robina. This allows us to banish a copy of Stry, the only little bird we don't have in rotation yet. We'll go for the Robina, targeting the Stry. we'll go ahead and add that Stry back to hand, and our opponent will activate Maxi. My lord. I mean, this is just the icing on the cake. Their hand was killer. They didn't have a way to Chi Shao, but they did have Ash and Maxi and Longwan and targeted effect negation, and none of it was enough. We're going to clean this one up by going for Stree, activating the effect in order to banish the Toucan from our graveyard, normal summoning the barrier statue of the Stormwinds to get the Toucan back, and then performing our normal to get ourselves a copy of Ryza. Now, this effect is mandatory, so we'll have to bounce our map and the Maxi to the top of our opponent's deck, but we can activate Robina as Chainlink too. It's at this point I start doing math and realizing I actually have no idea what I'm talking about. This isn't lethal. So we are forced to activate the Unexplored Winds to summon the highest attack little bird from our hand, and then get in for just enough to let our opponent not draw the Maxi for their next sad draw phase. So we're back with the deck, and sadly, it's really good. There's a lot of new archetypes enabled by the release of Adventure, Pranks, Dragon Link, and the like, and hopefully they can beat up on birds even with the on-release semi-limit. See you next time.